Philadelphia. It's Super Bowl week, goddammit. We've got coffee, we've got hats, we've got a lot of notes, and we've got Vince Quinn going to tell us, a lot about the Chiefs. So what we're planning on doing this week is trying to give as many episodes as possible. So a lot of quick hitters and a lot of stuff that hopefully you guys want to talk about as well. And if there's something you want to touch on this week, let us know, 215-509-5833, or simply just jump into the Discord, bellthebirdmen.com. I'm John Barchard. That's Vince Quinn. Taylor Kredatus in the internet ether once again. Vince Quinn, how about them Chiefs? It's funny.
Let me just say it, because we've been waiting all week to really get into the game. I'm not nearly as impressed with this Chiefs team as I've been with previous ones. I don't see it. For all these great teams that we've seen, all these conference championships, and now 3 Super Bowl appearances in 4 years, if I'm thinking about the most dynamic, terrifying Chiefs offenses and just teams in general that they can't beat, the Eagles couldn't possibly. I don't see it right now. I really don't. I'm as confident as I could possibly be. The more time I've had to sit and think on this, the more confident I am we're winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I'm going to have a pretty big reason that I think not a lot of people are talking about. I tweeted about it this morning. I'm going to save that for tomorrow when we're recording another episode. But I'm with you, Vince. I just keep looking at where the Chiefs are now in terms of, the Mahomes ankle. Everybody's going to be talking about that to death. But it's a lot of other things. Plus, it just looks like this defensive line can handle whatever that Chiefs offensive line is going to be able to throw at them. I'm a little concerned about what Andy could cook up and maybe just run into this total wing T offense and throw us all off and throw Jonathan Gannon off. But the problem I keep going back to is I feel you. I see the same things. It doesn't look as impressive. Certainly that's going to matter when Tyreek Hill's not there, but they've somehow been more efficient without him. Patrick Mahomes is the MVP for a reason. I'm honestly to the point now where there's no way Jalen Hurts could have won MVP this year because of the year Patrick Mahomes is having. It's been incredible, but it's also led to I don't know, a lot of mistakes, but they're so efficient everywhere else that a lot of those mistakes don't end up mattering at all. Chris Jones is one of those humongous problems that has been keeping them in ball games if they needed to, and rarely do they need that. So I understand it, but they're still a killer, man. And Patrick Mahomes is doing a lot of wild shit this year. So.
Yeah, look, Patrick Mahomes is a god. He doesn't make any sense. He's the greatest talent I've ever seen a quarterback in my life. But does that mean he is the better man for the better team that's going to win the biggest game of the year? No. There's too many other things that go into a football game that matter. And we saw this a couple of years ago when the Chiefs lost in the Super Bowl. What was the problem then? Their offensive line was just beat to shit. They just didn't have anything. The Bucs crushed him, and as much as Mahomes was doing some magical stuff, it wasn't enough. So I look at this game, and you just got to think about the talent differences on each side. There is no Tyreek Hill in this game. If you want to go back 2 years ago, last season, what was the big difference in that game? Tyreek Hill had 3 touchdowns in that game, 3 of them. He ain't in Kansas City anymore, and that's a huge difference to all of this. So who do they have? Juju Smith-Schuster. Are you scared of Juju Smith-Schuster? I'm not scared of Juju Smith-Schuster. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, does that scare you? Whatever Mecole Hardman's going to be, if he plays,
doubtful,
he's been out
by the way,
basically all year. Yeah, he's injured. Kadarius Toney injured. Juju Smith-Schuster even is injured right now. All those guys got hurt just last week. So I'm looking at an incredibly injured wide receiving core that's not all that impressive to begin with. And so what am I worrying about? As much as Mahomes is a magician, how many times are those guys going to either beat Slay and Bradbury, or how many times are all of the other role players on the Kansas City team going to be able to float this thing? I don't see it. I really don't believe that offense is good enough, and the Eagles matchup is just perfect.
Oh, I think the Chiefs offense is plenty good enough. I guess we're probably gonna debate about this a little bit too, because you can it is not impressive to the eye, but Andy and Patrick have they keep getting better up here too. So it's just I don't really know where you're going to slow the Chiefs down a lot of the time. I think there's been some examples of that throughout the year with some pretty stiff competition. And we'll get back to the offense in a second, too. But here's the other thing that's like perpetually scary just for me with both quarterbacks, even though I feel like the Eagles could run the hell out of the Chiefs and come up with a really good game plan. Stoutland, hey, baby, listening to me. I know you got a magic bag in there. But I'm actually semi-terrified of the defensive game plan that the Chiefs might like throw at them just because of Jalen has struggled so much against zone, and typically the Chiefs have had major amounts of success against man with AJ and Devontae, and we know that story pretty well. He can run a lot better when it's just man coverage and not zone, and people spying and not spying and all that. What do you make of our old friend Steve Spagnuolo just dialing up Jim Johnson, double A gap blitzes pretty much all night long and going in zone and saying, good luck, because Jalen is not efficient. This team is not efficient when that happens. He hasn't been overly all great, according to the analytics, against the blitz, but, we know he's not going to make a ton of mistakes either. I actually feel like there could be some problems really early offensively for the Birds, just how the Chiefs defense has been stacking up. Do you see anything special with the Chiefs defense in particular? Because I know they're getting killed in the secondary a lot, but
yeah, I mean, and they're very beatable in the running game too. So I look at it, look, there's a very real chance if Jerry Sneed does not start this game at corner that they're going to start 3 rookies out there in the secondary. If I got 3 rookies against AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, I'm good. I'm good. So
our old friend Trent McDuffie,
guy we debated
who's doing really well.
Yeah, he's doing really well over there. I think he ended up dropping to the second round for them. But either way, it's like, is there a problem if the Eagles get into some 3rd and longs early? Yeah, there could be some issues there, and that's where you worry about the game getting away from you, as if somehow they struggle early, the Chiefs put up some points, and now you got to fight back. Yeah, that's a bit of a problem. But as long as it's within a 1-score game or so, 10 points at most, something like that, you still have the ability to run the ball, and I think that's just such a big difference. At some point over the course of the game, the Eagles just don't have negative plays, and I think they've got a better ability to have explosive plays just with these matchups, with these teams. And so I think that's the biggest difference for me, and that's why even if they're going to send all this pressure, that's fine. But from the Eagles' standpoint, and this is part of the problem too when you're looking at the Chiefs' offense, look, I don't think they can contain the Eagles' D-line all day. With Patrick Mahomes having a bum ankle, their line is really good. It's one of the best they've had in a long time. Going back to Priest Holmes era, Larry Johnson era, this is a really good offensive line for them. But if the guy can't move all that much and his players are going to be covered a lot and the Eagles get so many sacks from just sending 4 guys, then I don't know what I'm supposed to look at that's going to tell me that they're going to get crushed here. I just, if Travis Kelce kills him for 1,500 yards in this game, great for him. He's setting all these playoff records. He's a great player. But, even if they're sending the pressure, they're going to have to generate turnovers. And I think the Eagles are going to have a better ability to get the turnovers as well because, again, Mahomes not going to have time to get, he's going to need more time to get the ball downfield. Eagles can generate sack fumbles. You might have to force some stuff in there when the matchups are this great with wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2. It just gives the Eagles the advantage. They're healthy everywhere. We haven't really seen that too much, and I think it's underrated.
Well, it might be that they can get to him, and even with a bum ankle, we went through the huge ringer 25 bullet point cheat sheet throughout the weekend here, and we're just kind of thinking over this in my head. If Patrick Mahomes is number 1 against every type of coverage blitz, which he is, he's the most efficient person against the blitz in against true high. The only thing he was second in was single high coverage, right? He was number 2 overall in the league. But you can't blitz him. You can't really sit back. Rarely does he get sacked, even when you do get those pressures. I think it's something absurd, 3% of the time out of the 10% of the time that he's actually pressured, he gets sacked. So I don't know if, one, Jonathan Gannon is creative enough to confuse him. And this again, I think this is going to be a huge C.J. Gardner game because he's the X factor for me. And I would say some level TJ Edwards is too, but not as high. Like, he has got to be that manipulative son of a bitch that I know he is in this, and it's going to be really hard to do. But he has got a trick. I don't know, the Travis Kelce 6-yard deep look somehow. He's got to bait him somehow into making a possibly easy decision a really hard one, or whatever it is. To me, I think that's where this kind of starts and ends, because I fear the worst when it comes to Andy and Gannon. And I'll even say, if you know that you're coming in with a bum ankle, the Chiefs are one of the only ones that do run 13 personnel like a lot, kind of like Doug used to do it. I think that's clearly where he stole it from. But almost 10% of their coverages, on offense have 13 personnel, and they like to run 12 just as much as the Eagles do. So I could see them getting very tricky, not like coming out and running the football and doing all that. I think that would be the worst decision that Andy Reid could do. But I do think I don't know, we'll get into some Brandon Ayuk shit at the end of this, but I do think there's a possibility that you could just have so many tight end leaks or wide receiver leaks or things like that where it's just going to completely throw off Gannon for the first 25 to 30 plays, because that's how Andy likes to operate. And to me, that's still, I'm not trying to get fearful I'm just trying to poke holes in Vince Quinn's, like, it's not that impressive. It's
not.
incredibly efficient. So
even with that all being said, because that's the thing, right? Like, this is the problem with a lot of these efficient teams is, okay, when you're not necessarily being explosive, but you're just completing the ball. And for Mahomes, he's throwing a lot of the stuff is like 7-8 yards down the field. He's not blowing it away. He's not chucking it deep every time. This isn't like Brady and the Bucks in their prime. I look at that. I go,
Bucks in their prime.
They won a Super Bowl and then they fell off a cliff 2 years later. I don't know. I'm not comparing them to this year's team. That's for fucking sure. But for everything else that they've done, it's just there's so many plays you have to complete again and again and again and again and again. And if I'm worried about a team after the catch, I mean, it didn't really come to fruition as much. But I was more worried about San Francisco after the catch than I'm worried about Kansas City. Like, just in terms of the pass catchers.
You're an insane person. You're an insane person.
No, those weapons are better. If you were taking Kansas City or San Francisco's weapons, you would rather have Kansas City.
Doesn't matter who's throwing the football. Andy Reid has not. And you're talking about Andy Reid, the guy that refused to put T.O. on his team until it was like, all right, fine. Okay, fine. Like, he doesn't.
Yeah.
They don't need.
And that's what this
Andy
team
Reid
is.
needs nobody but the
T.O.
guy throwing the football.
They have Todd Pinkston out there. It's Todd Pinkston and Todd Pinkston featuring Todd Pinkston. What am I worried about?
Wow. I don't
good.
even like MVS that much. I'm not even gonna say he's close to Todd Pinkston. That's actually shameful of you.
Todd Pinkston. But I'm not impressed with those guys. So yeah, like, if they're gonna complete a ball or two, it's gonna happen because it is Mahomes. I'm not gonna say it's a shutout, but like, I don't think this is a game where Kansas City's putting up 40 points or any, like, it's not going to be like that at all. It's just one of those things where the matchups are really good. I mean, the Eagles secondary is better than Kansas City's weapons. Their pass rush is better than Kansas City's offensive line, and the rushing attack is not all that good. So if it gets to a point where and the Eagles' run defense has gotten a lot better since Sue and Joseph got here, and that's really well documented. So having all of those guys, everybody healthy, the only main injury being Mahomes and his ankle is the biggest concern. Like, everything just points in the Eagles' favor. It just does. And to try to think of, like, I think if I'm going to try to project a reason in this moment of, like, how the Eagles could lose this game, it's just they turn the ball over, they make a couple of sloppy plays, they have a lapse in coverage. Like, it's mistakes. It's not just getting outplayed. It's mistakes that are going to cost them this game, because it's just I don't know what the path for Kansas City really is.
215-509-5833. How do they win? How do they lose in your mind? I'm petrified on how good Vince Quinn feels about calling them, like, meh. That's the only thing that's really scaring me, is how confident you are basically ragging this Chiefs offense, which is fine. It's totally fine. Because here's where I'll join you in the confidence pool. This might sound weird coming from me, and I don't expect, and this I think is the wrong thing to say from all of the NFL media that have kind of seen walking into this. A.J. Brown needs to have a huge game. I don't think so. You want to know what I think they should do? I think they should run 12 personnel, and I think they should run it down their fucking throats all game long. I think they should run some wild ass, throw in some triple option while you're at it, just run right at Chris Jones and just see what happens first. I would do that almost instantly. They're going to do that anyway. Like the people have pointed this out, and I still think this is the number one thing to go. The Chiefs are terrible against inside zone runs. Bad at it. Not efficient. Can't slow it down. If you've got Goddard and Kelsey pulling all night, you want to throw in Mailata and doing all that too? By the way, you got to test the turf to make sure you can do that shit. So that's why you got to go find out early. But if you're doing that all night, and that's why I think they need to go to Stoutland U big time and not worry so much about like these big time passing concepts. Just go with what has been working. Let Jalen go make a few plays like 3 or 4 times in this game, and stick to slants, stick to sluggos, get that play action going. Let everybody just the counters that have worked so beautifully. I think this is a huge opportunity to go run it down their throats. And I'm not saying control the clock because I hate controlling the clock. Go score points first, then control the clock. But I think that's the best way for this defense to be the most efficient against whatever Patrick Mahomes is going to throw at you. And if you need to go shot for shot, I still think you can do that because, the Chiefs are terrible for whatever reason against number 1 wide receivers this year. And the Eagles have Devontae and AJ. So I think you can do anything you want to this Chiefs defense. And that's why I'm really can't get that scared overall about what Patrick Mahomes could do to this defense.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I mean, I think the whole thing's pretty beatable all across the board. They're a great team, but it's just in the pantheon of great Chiefs teams and where the Eagles rank, it's the best team. I've said this all year. It's the best Eagles team I've ever seen in my life. They're better. It's just like it just all works in their favor. So, yeah, I think the Eagles can win a foot race if they have to. They can win a slug-out game. They've got more opportunity to get turnovers, whether it's sacks, fumbles, picks, whatever it might be. They're just the better squad. And as much as Mahomes is the greatest thing at the height of his powers, man, it's at some point it's just not enough. So, yeah, and then here's the other thing, too. Early in the game, like you're talking about, running the ball early. All that stuff tracks with me. And when you're thinking about it, it's just you're playing smart football, right? Like, that's really what it is, and that's why the first quarter is going to be such an interesting thing. If the Eagles come in with a good game plan, this thing's really over for the Chiefs because I'm going to trust the Eagles to adjust more than I'm going to trust Andy Reid to adjust. So I'll take if they get off to a good start, this game is over.
Man, well, you think so? I don't think that old Andy's still in there. I think he'll still be able to jump back on you. Especially Patrick Mahomes is kind of like the Andy cancellation of that. Like it equals it out because Patrick Mahomes doesn't think that way. And we've seen the Chiefs come back lightning quick or, obviously destroy a lot of Buffalo Bills souls with a few seconds left on the clock. So I don't know. I think we'll save that discussion for later on this week too, because there's a lot of like big picture Andy stuff that we want to get into. Certainly, what this would mean for Nick Sirianni, kind of moving forward, other than just being totally fucking awesome that he won a Super Bowl championship, and more importantly, what it would mean for Hurts and like how much does that actually raise your contract between not winning this game and saying we'll get him next year or whatever it is. So I'm excited for the week, Vince Quinn. Taylor Kredatus, any thoughts on the Chiefs overall as we kind of kick off Super Bowl week here, buddy?
The one interesting note that I found was the Chiefs only faced a top 10 quarterback pressure team twice this year. And it was the Jags 2 times, and the Eagles are second overall in that category.
Oh, how did they do against the Jags this year? I kind of forgot.
The Chiefs?
Yeah.
I think they beat them down the first regular season game, and then obviously there was the playoff game a couple weeks ago,
which was reasonably close. So, yeah, they
beat
them
27-17. Okay.
Earlier in the year.
So I think it'd be interesting to go watch some Jags tape. That's a good note there, Taylor. I'll be honest with you, because we were partying down on, that was the week before. For some reason, I've erased the Chiefs-Jaguars game in my mind. I don't really remember what happened, so I'm going to go rewatch both of those, specifically the defensive snaps. Because
Sure.
They're not as crisp. They're definitely not as crisp, and they have made some boneheaded mistakes over this entire year. So that'll be interesting to look at. Vince Quinn, anything else before we get out of here?
No, I mean, outside of, you talked about we're going to be doing a lot of shows this week, so we're trying to get something out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We're trying to get a lot of stuff out, so make sure you keep checking the feed each day. Other thing is, we're going to be live for the Super Bowl, baby. We are live streaming all through the Super Bowl. Make sure you subscribe to On YouTube. So that's where we're going to be through the whole game. If for whatever reason you can't make a party or whatever it is, turn us on, baby. Pop on YouTube, and we're going to be there through the whole
party.
game.
What are you talking about? If you're on
that's
the party,
right.
you better
Exactly.
be dual
We are the
screen.
party. So come on down and join us. And then, yeah, we're hoping to have some friends coming in. We're still working out all the details. It's going to be a good time. So all of that, and we'll be talking to you tomorrow. That's all I got.
100%. Go to bellandthebirdmen.com and go purchase that wonderful hat that's on Vince Quinn's head. And if you can't see it and you're listening to the podcast, you know what it is. It's that beautiful Kelly green corduroy. I'd rather be watching the Birds hat. And I'm telling you this because Nick is fucking amazing. And for the last 3 weeks, he says, as long as the Birds are winning, the sales will keep coming. So that's why it's amazing. 20% off right now. A $40 amazing cap, which is worth like $80. It feels like $80 on your head. Is just worth, the price is just $32 for you. There, I can spit it out at the end. So that's why it's amazing. Go to bellandthebirdmen.com or forbiddencanvas.net directly and go say thank you to Nick for making cool shit. And we will see you tomorrow right here on Bell and the Birdmen. See you guys.